Okay, so my name is Ryan Dawkins. I'm a developer in Oklahoma City, and I'm going to talk about HttpClient. So if you use .NET, this should be applicable to you. So HttpClient was released in 2012. It is a class to make it easy to interact with web APIs. It implements iDisposable, which is something that causes a lot of problems with people. And it should be a singleton in your application. So you should only have one instance of HttpClient in your application. So this is a common pitfall that people have, is they will new it up in a using statement. A lot of people do this because it implements iDisposable. But what they don't know is every single time that you new up HttpClient, it registers a new socket. So we have a couple options on how to prevent this from causing a socket exception in your application or preventing other applications on your server from running. Use a single instance, and better use a dependency injection container for the lifetime of HttpClient. If you're using .NET Core, they recently released in 2.1 a thing called HttpClient Factory. It allows you to also manage the state of HttpClient. So one of the issues with having a single instance of HttpClient is it will not handle DNS refreshes. So if a DNS change happens, you won't get that change. And so what is recommended is to make the setting in the service point manager. And I have a demo that I'm about to show that displays this. So if you want, I can provide a link to these slides, and you can also see some links that I went over. Okay, so let's talk about code. So this is how a lot of people use HttpClient. Is they have some data access class or something, and they new up HttpClient, and then they'll set like default headers on it, or they want to use default credentials. And then they'll make a request, and they'll do something with that response. So what a lot of people don't know is every time you do that, it reserves a socket. And after you get done using it, it puts it into the TCP state time wait. And if you don't know what the different states are, time wait means that the local endpoint has decided that it's no longer going to receive packets, but the server endpoint has not closed its connection. The reverse of that is hold, I think that's what it's called, time hold. So I'm going to run this, and then I'll show you the sockets that are left in reserved time wait state. So we're going to run .NET Run, and I'm hitting the Star Wars API. It's pretty good. So we'll see, I made 50 requests to this server, the Star Wars API. And then I'm going to show you netstat to show you all of the sockets that are left in the time wait state. Okay, so you can see all of these requests. These are sockets that are left reserved and not open for other applications on a server or your computer to be used. And so what this can end up causing is if you have multiple applications running on your server, or if you're making a large amount of HTTP requests, you can hit a socket exhaustion, and so this will crash your web server. The default for time wait is 240 seconds, I believe. So 4 minutes, your socket will be reserved locally, or port will be reserved locally. And as you can imagine, if you have a really high performance application, or I guess this wouldn't make it high performance. If you have an application that has a lot of requests to it, you can lead to a failure. This is something that I got to talk to the Azure Functions team in Redmond, and they mentioned that if they notice things like that, they'll actually kick you off, or I guess send you a nastygram that you are causing performance problems. So this is the solution. I created this HttpClient factory class. It's pretty simple. It uses a static constructor to set a single instance of HttpClient. This is thread safe, so it's something that you can do for multi-threaded applications. And then here is the service point manager change if there was a DNS change. So we'll run this again. So you'll notice this time there was not an abundance of ports that were left in the reserve state like there were the last time that I ran it. So that's really all that I have.